Among the hero's descendants, Kunon was born blind, his hero's scar. Unlike others who lost limbs or emotions, Kunon lacked both eyes. But he refused to accept darkness as destiny. Kunon Gurion was born blind, but his heart never faltered. Rather than despair, he embraced study. Magic became his vision, an unseen path to reshape the world he could not see. Praised for the cursed bloodline, Kunon stood still. To others, he was a political trophy. But inside, he mourned. He had never seen faces, light, or even the sky itself. A watercrest appeared, proof of magical talent. But Kunon felt no pride. The maids whispered, pitied, and dismissed him. No matter what gift he had, blindness still caged his world. Though pitied and ignored, Kunon decided. No matter what others thought, no matter how deep the sighs or silent retreats he would stand, he would move forward on his own terms. While training, a comment struck Kunon. His water spell sphere matched the size of an eyeball. His mind sparked. Could he create eyes with magic? Could water let him see? If I made an eye outside my body, could I see? Kunon asked aloud. The idea stunned his tutor. One thought, spoken with quiet hope, began to rewrite what magic could be. Holding the water orb tightly, Kunon made a vow. He would craft an eye with sorcery. That conviction shifted everything. From that moment on, the world began to change. As Kunon pursued magic, even small things began to fascinate him. He pondered sandwich ingredients, delighted by textures and tastes. The unknown no longer frightened him, it made every day brighter. With Aiko by his side, each day grew livelier. She described foods, teased him playfully, and answered his endless questions. Kunon laughed more. The world, once distant, now felt closer. To create eyes, Kunon needed knowledge of taste, texture, shape. With Aiko and Genie guiding him, even fruit and bread became magical lessons. Every bite sharpened the image in his mind. Under the sun, Kunon trained relentlessly. Water balls floated in precise formations. It was exhausting but necessary. Total control was step one. Before creating eyes, he had to master sorcery itself. Kunon gasped, sweat pouring from his brow. His spells wavered, but his will did not. I'll improve, he said. Not yet perfect, but with each breath, he was closer. Kunon steadied his breath, wand in hand. I can still get better, he said, casting again. Aiko watched proudly. His determination didn't waver. Each cast brought his vision dream closer. A week later, Kunon lay drained. Magic, knowledge, stamina, none of it felt enough. He sighed, frustrated but reflective. Aiko's support warmed him, but he knew true strength would take more. Progress felt slow. Kunon collapsed often, worn from training. Was it his magic, his body? Maybe both. But Aiko reminded him gently he was still growing. He just needed time. Stamina failed him, again and again. But Kunon never quit. Through sweat, strain, and tears, he trained, declaring with full resolve, I'll definitely create eyes using sorcery. His dream burned on. 2 months later, Kunon stood calm and focused. One by one, 6 water balls hovered in perfect sync. Genie watched in awe. His control, his growth, were now undeniable. Genie was stunned. 2 months of training, and Kunon improved with every session. Rumors became truth. Asked to summon another sphere, he answered with calm certainty, yes, and he did. 7 perfect water spheres floated steadily. Genie watched, overwhelmed. His progress was unreal. Each orb was uniform, stable. For a 7-year-old using basic sorcery, it was nothing short of astonishing. Genie sat alone, troubled. Kunon had surpassed her. She was only meant to teach basics, but he now held power that could rival adults. She worried, where could he safely grow next? With perfect control and unwavering purpose, Kunon stood calm. Genie realized it, then this child might surpass all limits. Someday, perhaps soon, he could earn the title of Blue Sorcerer. Princess Mirika sighed, staring at the sky. Despite her title, she dreaded meeting her fiancé Kunon. The visits came every 2 weeks, routine, political, and emotionally exhausting for her. She stepped out, uneasy. Kunon's blank face haunted her thoughts, always silent, distant. She wished to avoid him, but duty chained her steps. Their bond felt heavier with each visit. The carriage stopped. A knock reminded her, time to face him again. Heart tense, she stepped forward, wondering if this boy, once a stranger, could ever truly meet her. Kunon appeared at the entrance, greeting Mirika politely. She froze, stunned by his expression. This wasn't the lifeless boy she remembered. His voice felt calm, firm, and oddly cheerful. Confused, Mirika answered with hesitation. Kunon smiled, praising her appearance. His confidence and humor startled her. She wondered, was this really Kunon? Something inside him had undeniably shifted. Kunon raised his hand and declared his passion, sorcery. With newfound clarity, he spoke sincerely, Mirika listened, heart stirring, as the boy once distant now stood proud, reshaped by purpose. Mirika took Kunon's hand, surprised by his warmth. Sitting together, she watched curiously as he demonstrated magic. What she expected was simple. What she saw instead left her speechless. Kunon summoned water, shaping it smoothly. Their tutor explained the spell, but Kunon's version held subtle changes. "Let's try something new today," she said. Curiosity replaced routine in their lesson. Asked to classify the spell, Kunon hesitated, then explained in his own words. His growth stunned them. Even the tutor looked impressed. Magic, for him, was no longer just learning, it lived. The tutor explained how even a simple spell had countless traits. Kunon listened carefully. Temperature, shape, scent magic wasn't just technique. It was layered, endless. For the first time, he saw depth. Kunon summoned 2 identical water spheres. He touched them, one was hot, the other cold. Magic could be altered. His tutor smiled. "Real sorcery," she said, "was born through personal change." Kunon beamed, sharing his joy. He'd begun experimenting water taste tests, shape changes, new ideas. Mirika, watching him light up, smiled quietly. His passion was real, and it was contagious. As Kunon smiled, Mirika noticed a rainbow above. She saw warmth in his face, new, bright. 2 months of silent effort had changed him more than she ever imagined possible. Returning home, Mirika sat quietly, replaying their time together. "That was fun," she whispered. For the first time, she looked forward to their next meeting, not from duty but from heart. Elsewhere, Kunon gasped, stunned. "I could see, I think," he whispered. The world flickered briefly into view. For a moment, his dream, once impossible, seemed like it might truly begin. Kunon cried out under Sufi's scolding. His joke about seeing went too far. But beneath the humor, a truth stirred. Maybe, just maybe, something real had changed in him. Curious, Kunon picked up an apple. "Is this red?" he asked. He compared it, hesitant, thoughtful. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The color wasn't just imagined. He was starting to see matching shades. He identified green apples, too. Sufi lit up in amazement. For the first time, his guesses weren't guesses. The world, vivid, uncertain, had begun opening its colors to Kunon. Kunon reflected on his progress. He had grasped faint colors, touched hints of light. But to him, it wasn't enough. His goal remained, true, lasting sight earned through sorcery alone. Word of Kunon's improvement reached his father, Arsene Gurion. Hearing he could sense color and even read with aid, Arsene was astonished but cautious. It was still early to believe fully. Kunon studied daily, driven by hope. Changing anything now could disrupt his fragile progress. Everyone around him saw it. He was chasing vision with everything he had, step by fragile step. Time passed by, and at the same rate for both the eccentric and the wicked. Chats, laughter, and so on fills the room, and it sounds so fun. 2 years passed. Kunon, now 9, stood tall among stacks of books. His studies never slowed. Sorcery became his world, driven by hope, fueled by purpose. The journey had only begun. While reading, Kunon discovered a passage on water-based divination. Curious, he shared it with Aiko. The idea of seeing through water sparked something. Maybe this could bring him closer to vision. Aiko teased herself about age, but Kunon laughed it off. To him, she was still in her prime. Their bond was light, honest, a servant and master growing side by side. They joked about marriage and future husbands, laughter filling the room. Just then, a noblewoman entered. Kunon greeted her politely, his charm effortless. Aiko blushed. "Isn't he too bright?" She smiled. Kunon's request to learn noble etiquette led to new lessons. Aiko saw the chance to shape him into a true gentleman, one with warmth, wit, and confidence beyond his years. Even Frala, his governess, admitted Kunon had changed. No longer withdrawn, he smiled easily now, offering toasts with gentle humor. What once seemed forced had grown into genuine kindness. Sipping tea, Kunon joked about national pride and local flavors. Frala smiled. He was different now, softer, brighter. The change wasn't just in his studies, it was in his heart. Kunon was summoned by his father. Unbothered, he agreed to go after dinner. Still, tension lingered. Did something go wrong? He walked through the cold evening, preparing himself quietly. On the way, Aiko teased him about magic tricks. They laughed, juggling warm water spheres. Beneath their jokes, Kunon worried. He'd grown, yes, but what awaited behind his father's door? The house butler greeted him with formality. Kunon blinked in confusion. His father was waiting. As the door creaked open, Kunon stepped inside, heart steady, unsure of what would come next. Kunon entered the parlor, surprised to see his mother and elder brother waiting. Warm greetings filled the room. For a moment, it felt like a family again, something he rarely experienced. Ixio explained Kunon's situation at school. citing political reasons. The choice was left to him, but the undertone was clear. Kunon's life now touched noble expectations beyond his own control. Talk turned suddenly to allowance. Kunon, confused, apologized for a past magical mess. Laughter and scolding mixed. For all the formal talk, it still felt like a real family moment. Ixio brought up Princess Mirika, reminding Kunon of his duty as her fiancé. Being noble came with obligations, he said, one of them being to act in ways that reflect honor. Ixio proposed an alternative to school, a promotion exam. Kunon was surprised but listened. If he passed, he'd skip school and fulfill his duties while still pursuing magic on his own. The exam route became clear. Many nobles chose it, graduating early. Kunon saw a path forward, one that could free time for research. Even Iko planned to take the test soon. Mirika lit up with excitement when she heard Kunon might attend school. Though he clarified it was only for an exam, she insisted on helping, ready to guard him from jealous rivals. She kept talking to herself and raising her opinions. She got so excited, and both really should talk more as they need to discuss more. Kunon stepped out dressed like royalty, stunning everyone. Iko was speechless. He bowed with flair, joking about his secret identity. It was finally time for Kunon to attend school for real. As the carriage prepared to depart, Kunon cast a water spell, securing everything. He smiled, waving to his mother. Everyone watched, proud. He was finally ready for the next stage. Inside the carriage, Kunon chatted with Ixio. Magic had its uses, practical and otherwise. For Kunon, sorcery wasn't just power, it was opportunity, freedom, and a future he was building himself. Kunon admitted blindness was hard, but he'd grown stronger. He no longer feared life. With renewed resolve, he wanted to live, not just survive. Sorcery had helped him see differently inside. Ixio watched, moved. His younger brother had truly changed. Kunon now smiled with conviction. Speaking of hope and strength, he wasn't broken. He was someone who inspired courage just by standing tall. Their carriage arrived at school. As they stepped out, Mirika ran up, beaming. Kunon-kun, Ixio-kun. Her excitement lit the morning, marking the start of their new chapter together. Mirika praised Kunon's outfit. Jokingly, she teased his popularity. Kunon smiled back calmly. Their banter was light, playful, yet under it all, he was preparing himself for what school might bring. As they approached the school gates, Kunon paused. The voices, the atmosphere, it was overwhelming. But instead of retreating like before, he stood tall. This time, he chose to walk forward. Kunon offered his hand, asking to trade roles for now. Mirika accepted with a grin, playing along. Together, they stepped into the school, supporting each other, ready for whatever came next. Professor Cass prepared to meet her new student. As she received her instructions to guide Kunon, she wondered how to handle a boy marked by the hero's scar. Told to treat Kunon gently, Cass reflected on his rumored blindness. Though hesitant, she resolved to give him a fair chance. She wouldn't judge him before seeing him herself. Kunon arrived, his coat billowing as he walked confidently. Students whispered an eye patch, a noble aura. He looked like a prince from a fairy tale. Cass watched silently, curiosity rising. Hand in hand with Mirika, Kunon arrived at the school grounds. All eyes turned toward him. His confidence didn't waver. Among whispers and stares, he walked with calm grace. Professor Cass called out to Kunon. She introduced herself as his guide, expecting hesitation. Instead, Kunon greeted her boldly, smiling. To her surprise, the boy radiated charm and composure. Kunon introduced himself as a beautiful girl, playfully teasing norms. Cass stood stunned while Ixio smiled knowingly. Beneath Kunon's eccentric words was a steady courage that deflected discomfort with ease. As Mirika left with Ixio, Kunon followed Cass into the building. She sighed quietly. This boy already seemed like more trouble than expected. Still, she led him without complaint. Kunon entered the special classroom. He asked about graduation through exams. Cass explained, 5 promotion exams must be passed. For Kunon, this was the only way to graduate without regular classes. Hearing the royal family's involvement in his case, Kunon processed the pressure placed on the school. Calmly, he nodded. He didn't ask for privilege, but he'd carry it responsibly. Before the exam, Kunon joked about the king and his father conspiring. Then, with unexpected seriousness, he warned Cass never to risk herself politically before calmly telling her to begin. After the test, Cass handed in the answer sheet, stunned. Every answer was correct. Despite his casual chatter during the exam, Kunon had performed perfectly. Something about him didn't add up. 3 days into school, Kunon enjoyed a peaceful rhythm beside Mirika. But that peace cracked the moment a stern voice called her name. A shadow loomed. Mirika's older brother had arrived. Lyle, Prince and Mirika's brother, stared coldly at Kunon. Tension rose. Lyle questioned the engagement bluntly. Kunon sensed it. This wasn't just curiosity. It was judgment, and it was coming fast. Lyle dismissed Kunon's status. His words cut sharply. But Kunon didn't flinch. His mind sharpened. Social rank? Irrelevant here. He stood firm, ready to defend not just himself but the Academy's dignity. Kunon calmly pointed it out. Prince Lyle had wet himself. Gasps spread. Embarrassed and defensive, Lyle denied it. But the truth stuck, and whispers gathered like a storm around him. Flustered, Lyle fled. Kunon watched quietly, unmoved. With a whisper of magic, he'd ended the confrontation without ever raising his voice. The threat was gone. Peace had returned his way. Ixio and Mirika questioned him. Kunon feigned innocence, all while explaining it was pointless to argue with fools. He smiled slyly. He knew exactly what he'd done, and why it worked. Over lunch, Kunon asked about Lyle. Mirika explained he was her elder brother, the sixth prince. Their family ties were thin, yet the weight of royal blood still shaped their lives. Kunon reflected on Mirika's position. Despite Lyle's disdain, she remained calm. Her awareness of noble hierarchy was sharp. Kunon realized, with each move, she was thinking 2 steps ahead. They discussed succession, family politics, and power. Mirika played it cool, but Kunon saw it. Her rise in status was real. In the royal world, even peace was built on quiet strategy. Kunon calmly said he wanted to apologize to Lyle. Mirika panicked. Absolutely not. The idea of those two meeting again was terrifying. Ixio silently agreed. Peace depended on keeping them apart. Kunon arrived in the classroom on the 5th day of school. It finally felt like a real school. Students were gathering for exams and Kunon was ready to observe everything. Kunon chatted about Cass-sensei's past. Apparently, she taught at another elite academy before transferring. His classmates were amazed. Kunon was too casual about it all. For him, nothing was off limits. Kunon casually considered the exam. Meanwhile, classmates pressed Mirika to introduce him. Flustered but smiling, she gave in. The moment felt light until Kunon stepped forward and owned the stage. Kunon introduced himself with flair. Students were surprised by his poise. Mirika firmly supported him. Her voice steady, she reminded everyone he was her fiancé and asked them to respect that. Kunon quietly expressed gratitude, not for show but from the heart. He was glad Mirika had friends and a protective brother. He felt no envy, just peace in being understood. Lyle returned with fury. Students stiffened. Mirika addressed him calmly, while Kunon stood unbothered. The air was thick with tension. Kunon's very presence clearly challenged everything Lyle thought he understood. Kunon shocked Lyle by grabbing his hand and introducing himself as Mirika's fiancé. With bold cheer, he declared their connection. Lyle stood frozen. He'd been disarmed by sheer boldness. Laughing, Kunon praised Lyle's magnificent face despite not being able to see it. His words twisted tension into absurdity. Lyle panicked, overwhelmed. "Who is this guy?" echoed in his mind. Lyle's flustered reaction only made things funnier. Even Mirika giggled. Kunon didn't let go, calling him strong. Lyle burned with confusion. Kunon, as always, was 2 steps ahead with a smile. The test results were announced. Everyone passed. Kunon's first 5 days at school had ended. No dramatic finale, just laughter. A test passed, and the next step already taking shape. Kunon met with Genie-sensei after graduation. She congratulated him warmly. Then, with a serious tone, she said it was time to share the truth, one that might be hard to hear. Genie-sensei confessed. She had nothing left to teach Kunon. It wasn't a metaphor or a riddle, just the truth. Kunon was already far beyond her as a sorcerer. She admitted it plainly. She hadn't taught him anything new for some time. Despite his protests, she explained he'd surpassed her expectations long ago. His growth had simply outpaced her reach. Kunon recognized Genie-sensei's struggles. He acknowledged the desperation behind her so-called tricks and expressed respect, not mockery. What she considered failures, he saw as the spark that had launched his ambition. Genie revealed she'd been fighting her limits the whole time. Even with shortcuts, she tried everything. Now, even a raise couldn't justify staying. She couldn't support Kunon's growth any longer. With emotion building, she urged Kunon to seek a better teacher. Her voice shook. "I did all I could," she said. "Now go find someone stronger. I can't help anymore." Kunon boldly rejected Genie's self-doubt. He told her to keep using tricks, keep helping him learn. But Genie had already reached her limit, her voice soft, her strength nearly gone. She watched Kunon's magic, complex, refined. It was proof he had surpassed her. Accepting her limitations, Genie smiled. She had no regrets. The boy she taught had grown immensely. As she left, Genie reflected on Kunon's journey. Like others before him, he pushed forward without stopping. Obstacles fell one by one. After all, effort not tricks is what truly endures. Genie, inspired by Kunon's growth, resolved to not be outdone. She vowed to chase the depths of sorcery herself. That choice became the start of her lasting legend. Kunon's maid recalled how Genie taught him from the very beginning. Though once average, Genie had sharp instincts and creativity. Her efforts, desperate or not, carried genuine care and impact. Reflecting on her methods, Kunon admired Genie's talent. Her unorthodox style wasn't weakness, but strength. Her clever tricks showed a unique sorcerer's power. It was a strength worth aspiring to. Fralin realized Genie had already left without saying goodbye. Kunon accepted it quietly, pretending indifference, though clearly affected. Their bond had grown deep, and parting without a word stung. Fralin, offered a marriage opportunity, hesitated. Though excited, she felt torn about leaving Kunon. Her loyalty had grown stronger than she realized. Yet, she knew her future awaited elsewhere. Kunon admitted he couldn't bear being left alone. Genie, Fralin, Ikkyo, they mattered more than he'd shown. Despite appearing independent, he relied on their presence to keep moving forward. Kunon realizes he needs a new sorcery teacher. Aiko excitedly suggests Finroll, known for his beauty. But Kunon prefers a female teacher, sparking a discussion filled with opinions and expectations. Despite Aiko's enthusiasm for the royal sorcerer, Kunon insists a woman would be less troublesome. The debate escalates when he learns of a female candidate, causing conflict over motivation and fairness. Aiko explodes in frustration, declaring all women deserve respect, regardless of age. Kunon concedes, acknowledging his mistake. They decide to consult his father, hoping for guidance on choosing the next teacher. Kunon discusses finding a new sorcery teacher with his father. Suggestions arise, but Kunon quickly names Zonli Finroll. However, his father urges caution, saying hiring a royal sorcerer isn't so simple. Despite Kunon's persistence, his father insists it's pointless. Royal sorcerers serve the palace directly and cannot be freely summoned. Kunon is confused, but the reasoning begins to weigh in. His father explains the strict structure: royal sorcerers obey only His Majesty. They're isolated, unable to teach freely. Kunon begins to understand the limitations and realizes a new plan is needed. Kunon proposes a bold plan: visit the palace with his father and accidentally meet a royal sorcerer. His mother, swayed by his charm, immediately supports the idea with joy. Kunon's mother gushes with affection, openly favoring him. His father, quietly resigned, gives in. Though skeptical, he agrees to discuss the plan, touched by his wife's hopeful expression. Despite knowing the odds, Kunon's father agrees to at least try. Behind soft smiles, everyone realizes the truth. Kunon always gets his way with just enough cleverness and heart. Mirika reads Kunon's letter with curiosity and nerves. He's coming to the palace. Her friends tease her, but she wonders, will he meet her? She hopes, then hesitates. Encouraged by her maids, Mirika considers writing back. Fear of rejection lingers, but excitement blooms. Her flustered reactions reveal more than she admits. Her feelings are growing clearer. One maid wisely notes, it's not just romance, it's politics too. The kingdom has reasons to control royal interactions. Mirika quietly agrees, sensing her world is beginning to shift. Mirika strategizes, aware of her weak royal standing. Information is power. If Kunon's visit leaks, others might move first. She prepares a message to secure her political position early. As Kunon's carriage departs, he muses on fate's surprises. Heading to the capital with his father, he reflects on how unexpected life is and how it all keeps changing. Arson watches Kunon and marvels at his talent. Even a black cat crafted with sorcery sits quietly on Kunon's lap. Despite its oddity, Arson admits there's potential worth respecting here. During their journey, Kunon suggests keeping the cat. His father laughs but declines. They joke about pets' status and hobbies. Kunon reflects, despite everything, he never had any hobbies until now. The cat becomes a symbol of past routines, serious living, and subtle change. Arson ponders what Princess Mirika would think, unknowingly influenced by Kunon's calm, clever words and unconventional presence. As Kunon arrives at the royal palace, unseen influence spreads. His conduct shapes others. Ikkyo and Mirika have changed. A quiet power follows Kunon, driven not by strength but by presence. As they arrive, Kunon prepares to leave the carriage. His father hesitates, torn by the warmth of the cat. That brief bond, though small, lingers quietly in his chest. Feeling the cat's warmth, Arson reflects on how foreign this simple comfort is to his world. Yet, Responsibility calls. He steps out, shedding sentiment, ready to face duty again. Lisha, the second princess and royal sorcerer, greets them warmly. Despite the wait, her presence is calm but commanding. Kunon stands before someone new, his next challenge, and maybe his teacher. Lisha notices the black cat and the sudden spell. Arson explains it's Kunon's sorcery. Surprised, she realizes the spell was subtle but powerful. Kunon's skill exceeds even the whispered rumors. Kunon introduces himself confidently. Lisha acknowledges his talents, impressed by his composure. With formalities exchanged, she welcomes him under her care, marking the beginning of Kunon's next important learning chapter. As they head toward the tower, Kunon's father eagerly praises him. Kunon, flustered, brushes it off. Lisha watches silently, already weighing the young boy's true potential. Their journey has begun. Lisha admits she can't teach Kunon advanced sorcery. Curious, she questions him further. Kunon shares his desire to master new concepts. Lisha realizes why a royal sorcerer was specially requested. As they walk, Lisha reflects on Mirika's trust. She informs Kunon about the political unrest and the ongoing royal succession. Kunon listens quietly, realizing his presence might influence more than magic. Lisha warns Kunon about the dangers tied to royal ambitions. Before Kunon can respond, something catches his eye, a strange magical signal. He stops, puzzled, just as tension fills the corridor. Kunon walks oddly, mimicking his waterball spell. Lisha protests, worried about appearances. Kunon begs her to demonstrate elegant conduct. She agrees, reluctantly, sparking laughter and whispers throughout the palace. The palace uproar spreads quickly. Kunon and Lisha apologize as they're escorted outside. Embarrassed, they regroup near a towering library. The knights sigh. Lisha insists they stay focused on their task. Inside the grand library, they're formally welcomed. Kunon steps forward, calm and ready. Though earlier chaos lingers in memory, the real learning is about to begin with eyes now on him. Kunon meets Ronidoni, the royal sorcerer commissioner. He's impressed by Kunon's reputation and the crowd's interest. Lisha introduces him proudly. The moment feels like a quiet recognition of Kunon's arrival. Ronidoni apologizes for the visit, claiming Kunon's skills warranted a direct meeting. With warm confidence, he states Kunon has 2 stars out of 5, hinting he's already beyond the norm for his age. Ronidoni explains the ranking of sorcerers. 5 stars represent the highest class. Each crest has meaning. Kunon listens closely, his mind processing the system that will define his place here. Ronidoni explains most sorcerers are 2 stars. Kunon and Lisha rank the same, but the stars only measure power. Kunon accepts it, realizing it doesn't limit his potential to grow stronger. Kunon compares star rankings to cheese, same base, different strength. Ronidoni, amused, confirms he's a 4-star sorcerer. Kunon remains unfazed, seeing stars not as titles, but tools to understand sorcery. Though surprised, others note Kunon doesn't know much about ranks yet. He doesn't react to the 4-star status, already focused on learning more, choosing knowledge over awe or intimidation. Ronidoni explains sorcery books aren't enough, experience is crucial. Kunon listens carefully, aware that talent alone won't help. Ronidoni proposes a test. Everyone gathers to witness the rare prodigy in action. Excited and impressed, even Lisha cheers Kunon on. Ronidoni's eyes gleam with curiosity. As anticipation builds, he signals the test start, ready to uncover Kunon's capabilities firsthand in public display. Standing calmly before the crowd, Kunon is asked how many spells he can use. Without hesitation, he answers, 2. The atmosphere tightens. Everyone awaits a demonstration of his strength. Kunon watches as Victor easily casts the water ball spell. When asked to steal it using his own magic, Kunon hesitates. The challenge feels new, this is uncharted territory for him. He look at the man from Bend, and then call him. These water ball could steal a spell, and he wonder if he can steal them with simple magical skills. Kunon struggled against the water's resistance, surprising even the observers. One sorcerer acknowledged Kunon's power, hinting he surpassed him. Others began discussing taking Kunon in. He wondered if he passed. The examiners debated who would train Kunon. Kunon was unsure of the outcome, but eager to learn more. The commissioner decided they should continue testing him. Kunon prepared for what's next. Excited by Kunon's potential, the commissioner led the group inside. Laughter echoed as anticipation rose. With everyone watching, Kunon stood ready. More challenges awaited, but this time he wouldn't face them alone. The commissioner joyfully bounced on Kunon's spell, drawing everyone's attention. Kunon analyzed the spell's structure. Amazed by its elasticity, the crowd gathered. Laughter spread. It was the most fun in years. While everyone admired the spell's softness, Kunon considered improving it. They joked about replacing beds. Then someone suggested Kunon aim higher to lift himself with water magic. The idea struck him deeply. Encouraged, Kunon showed another skill, reproducing animals with sorcery. A lifelike cat stunned the onlookers. It moved and responded like a real one. They realized Kunon's magic could defy normal expectations. Kunon explained his idea for a water doll using magic to form and animate it. The commissioner was amused but intrigued. Movement would be difficult, but Kunon was eager to try. They discussed the doll's mechanics. Water magic could shape a floating human-like figure, but the way it moved might seem eerie or unnatural. Curiosity grew. Everyone wanted to see it firsthand. A maid looked outside and screamed, mistaking the floating figure for a ghost. The magic doll's unnatural glide shocked her. Everyone began to understand how rumors of ghosts could start. Kunon and the commissioner bowed in apology. Their magical antics had caused a stir. A strict warning followed, and while Kunon kept calm, the commissioner chuckled, admitting he got carried away. Despite being scolded twice, Kunon found the experience valuable. Marika had pushed for faster tests, and now both felt the weight of consequences. Still, curiosity burned brighter than any regret. Back at the tower, the commissioner proposed lunch and discussion. As everyone calmed down, Kunon asked the question on his mind: had he passed the test? The moment of truth approached. With everyone's admiration and the test passed, Kunon was overjoyed. The commissioner offered to be his instructor. It was a dream realized, his first real step toward becoming a true sorcerer. Kunon stood before his classmates, calmly explaining his goal to create a magical eyeball. Though unusual, his confidence intrigued them. The room shifted from skepticism to genuine curiosity and praise. Encouraged by their support, Kunon smiled. But the mood changed when he learned his father was coming. Uneasy, he braced for a meeting he hadn't prepared for emotionally or mentally. Kunon's father arrived loudly, already aware of his son's growing fame. Kunon nervously deflected dinner plans, but his father pressed on, determined to understand the remarkable stir his son caused. Kunon's father remained skeptical, questioning if sorcery was being taught too freely. He warned that power without accountability was dangerous, especially if others could misuse magic and shift the blame. Using logic and stern words, he challenged Kunon to think about the weight of sorcery. Even Kunon, holding his staff, felt the pressure of responsibility behind every spell he pursued. Humbled, Kunon apologized. Lisha joined, softening the moment. Seeing the respect Kunon had earned, his father, though still strict, recognized his son's growth, finally acknowledging how far Kunon had come. Kunon's father reminded him of his promise to Princess Marika. The boy, caught off guard, realized preparations had already begun, leaving him no time to hesitate or back down. As night fell, Marika led Kunon to the arena. With magic summoned, she challenged him to a ride. Her boldness stunned Kunon, but curiosity drove him to follow. Despite awkward starts, Kunon climbed on. Floating together on the summoned beast, they drifted across the field. Confused by their closeness, Kunon wondered how this counted as winning the match. Laughing with joy, Marika teased Kunon about riding the floating water beast. She admired his magical mind and proposed they explore further, hinting more at synergy than mere fun. With enthusiasm, they set off together. Marika praised Kunon's technique while expressing curiosity about the unique interaction of their magical energies. Kunon, intrigued and flustered, agreed to push forward together. Their ride ended in a tumble, safely landing on the soft water surface. Apologies followed. Though embarrassed, Kunon accepted his misjudgment, learning even magic needed boundaries, especially when riding with Marika. Kunon's antics earned a stern lecture. His father, clearly frustrated by repeated incidents, scolded both Kunon and Lisha. The two quietly admitted fault, realizing their magical experiments had gone too far. Meanwhile, Princess Marika marched away with purpose. A classmate warned she was heading toward the East Tower again, puzzled by her determination. She seemed focused, undeterred by what others thought. Inside, the girl named Laura sipped tea with regal poise. Her elegance stunned observers. When her name was called, she responded with composed stillness, commanding attention with minimal effort. Upon hearing Kunon's arrival, Princess Marika hurried down the hall, flustered but composed. The maids whispered, wondering why someone like her would care so much about a young blind boy. Kunon stood proudly outside, extending his hand to escort Marika. She accepted, surprised by his formality. Despite his childish demeanor, his confidence gave her a reason to smile softly. Arriving at the grand hall, Kunon and Marika joined the others. With a toast raised in her honor, he complimented her green dress, earning mutual respect beneath the glow of chandeliers. Kunon spoke confidently, explaining how he'd sharpened his magic to survive noble society. His words, though strange, revealed ambition. Mirika listened, trying to understand the boy who defied every expectation. As the dinner continued, Mirika reflected on his odd charm. Kunon, unaware of her thoughts, declared how he'd treasure her every day if fate brought them together. It felt oddly sincere. Blushing, Mirika could only think he was still just a boy. But as her heart raced, she realized Kunon Gurion was slowly becoming someone she couldn't ignore. Kunon awoke in his room, quietly reflecting on the previous day. He prepared to review his notes, planning to organize thoughts about magic, Mirika, and the sorcery lessons ahead. As he recalled yesterday's excitement, a cheerful voice called out his maid Aiko. Her lively energy cut through the morning stillness, ready to discuss Kunon's sleep habits and magical progress. Aiko teased Kunon with playful wisdom, dismissing sighs in favor of heart. Her affection was clear. Kunon smiled, acknowledging her support before preparing to meet Mirika again after breakfast. Kunon prepared to apply what he had learned from the royal sorcerers. Excitedly, he awaited his new teacher, eager to prove his growth. Aiko listened as he shared the news. The maids erupted with panic, determined to beautify themselves before meeting Kunon's new instructor. Overwhelmed, Kunon was left stunned by their sudden flurry of excuses and disappearance. The next morning, Kunon felt slightly ignored. As the carriage arrived, he stood in wait, wondering if this teacher would truly meet his expectations or possibly change his path entirely. Princess Mirika arrived unexpectedly, bright and smiling. Kunon froze, overwhelmed by her charm. Though stunned, he composed himself and offered a clumsy but sincere compliment on her beauty and presence. Joking about appearances, they exchanged light banter. Just then, Kunon's long-awaited teacher finally appeared, mysterious, sharp-eyed Zonli. His reputation had preceded him, and now he stood face-to-face with Kunon himself. Zonli introduced himself with imposing presence. He had come curious about the rumored prodigy. Surprised by Kunon's young form, he muttered in disbelief, this was the boy everyone was talking about? Kunon stood in awe of Zonli, sensing his immense magical aura. Despite Zonli's youth, his power radiated authority, thick, concentrated, and sharp. Kunon immediately admired him as a worthy mentor. As introductions continued, Mirika and others prepared to depart. Kunon spoke earnestly to Zonli, expressing hopes of learning with an open heart. Meanwhile, their chaperones arranged the rest of the day. Zonli reacted to Kunon's blunt comments with mild irritation, unsure whether to laugh or scold. Kunon's honesty and odd charm left an impression enough for Zonli to label him simply a weird kid. Mirika explained her visit was partly to escort Zonli, but also admitted she simply wanted to see Kunon. Zonli, unimpressed by royal formality, teased them for acting like love-struck children. Kunon politely thanked Mirika for her effort. Zonli, watching their exchange, groaned, clearly irritated. Still, he acknowledged Kunon's readiness and finally shifted focus to the training both of them anticipated. With a direct tone, Zonli asked about Kunon's spell range. He warned Kunon not to bluff. Despite the tension, the lesson was beginning and the true test was about to start. Kunon declared his spell output was 31. Zonli, surprised, admitted he hadn't reached that level himself. The boy's quiet confidence was starting to make a real impression on the master. Kunon proudly revealed he had pushed to 50 by suppressing his own power. Zonli was stunned by the technique's simplicity and brilliance, convinced now that Kunon wasn't bluffing, but truly exceptional. Realizing Kunon was self-taught, Zonli began to understand the excitement others felt. Kunon wasn't some overhyped student, he was the real deal. A genius born from pure effort and unmatched dedication. Zonli told Kunon to forget flattery and focus. He challenged the boy to prove his worth, making it clear results mattered more than words in the world of magic mastery. Without pause, Zonli issued Kunon's first task: destroy the enormous stone wall using only earth elemental magic. Kunon accepted the trial seriously, sensing this would define his entire future training. Zonli gave Kunon a warning: succeed, or he'd walk away. As the challenge loomed large before him, Kunon stood firm. He wasn't planning to fail, not now, not ever. Zonli touched Kunon's spell and was overwhelmed by its soft, comforting effect. Though water-based, it felt like feathers, gentle, dry, and warm. Even he admitted it was something he couldn't replicate. Kunon stood before the wall, analyzing its structure. He realized brute force wouldn't work. Instead, He planned to approach the problem through deep control of magic composition and duration. Kunon mentally reviewed how magic works, how crests define spells, how ensembles reflect a caster's originality. His understanding of magic theory was not only deep, but clearly shaped by his personal insight. Kunon analyzed the wall's complexity, estimating it held the power of a level 40 ensemble. Calmly, he declared he'd destroy it instantly, with just a touch, his confidence unwavering. After letting Zolny nap undisturbed, Kunon casually joined the group for tea. His calm demeanor confused Zolny, who suspected Kunon had given up, only to hear Kunon was finally ready. With Zolny's permission, Kunon prepared to act. The air shifted as the maids, Mirika and Zolny, all watched silently. Kunon raised his hand, ready to show what only he could do. Kunon used a cleaning spell, a Lugo, to break the wall. Zolny was stunned. The boy used magic meant for laundry to dissolve a high-level construct by targeting its structure, not its strength. Kunon explained that attacking directly would waste power. Instead, he treated the wall as dirt, eroding it with magical bubbles. The brilliance lay in its precision, not in destructive force. Zolny admitted Kunon's method was smart and unexpected. It bypassed complexity through clever logic. With his approval now clear, he jokingly asked if that made Kunon his pupil from now on. Kunon insisted on being officially approved. Zolny gave in, declaring Kunon his pupil. Everyone cheered. Kunon had won not just the challenge, but the recognition of a master-level sorcerer. With new status, Zolny promised to teach Kunon everything he could. Meanwhile, Mirika reminded Kunon of the risks of ambition, warning that power alone wouldn't secure his place by her side. Mirika spoke bluntly. Even if Kunon gained strength and titles, it might not be enough. She urged him to think carefully, not just about magic, but about the future they dreamed of. Mirika quietly acknowledged her royal standing was weak. Compared to her sisters, she lacked political power. If anyone desired Kunon, she'd be powerless to stop them, and it broke her heart. Watching Kunon grow into a respected pupil and sorcerer, Mirika felt left behind. She realized she had done nothing to match him. Doubt crept in. Was she worthy of his side? Zolny teased Kunon about romance, but Kunon saw through him, calling out his awkwardness around girls. As Mirika reflected, she resolved to improve herself too. A turning point had arrived. 3 months had passed. Kunon, now officially Zolny's assistant, reflected on the intense workload. Though unexpected, he accepted it with calm resolve as Aiko teased him over his new title. Papers stacked high. Kunon reviewed reports detailing magical theories, mostly written by Zolny. Despite the messy handwriting, Kunon found the information sharp, with particularly fascinating insight into alchemy and magical tools. Though rare in modern practice, Zolny specialized in alchemy, creating magical items usable by non-sorcerers. Since his focus had shifted to combat spells, he entrusted Kunon to manage the alchemy research. Aiko enthusiastically vowed to support Kunon in every aspect of life. Her optimism gave him comfort. Kunon realized his growth wasn't just magical, it extended into bonds, routines, and daily trust. Mirika and Zolny now visited regularly. Kunon reflected on the evolving pace of his life, training harder, managing tasks, and even gaining a nickname. Despite the workload, he felt truly supported. Zolny demanded results while teasing Kunon for his popularity. Kunon fired back with confidence, proud of the relationships he'd built. Mirika's arrival added warmth and a touch of friendly rivalry. Kunon spent each week running experiments with Zolny, improving his understanding of magical theory. They replaced lectures with results, developing new models to explain complex spell mechanics through practical investigation. Meanwhile, Mirika took a step forward. Inspired by Kunon's resolve, she decided to become top of her night division, driven by one clear desire: to protect Kunon with her own strength. Time passed. Over 2 years they trained, studied, and matured. Through struggles and support, Kunon, Mirika, Zolny, and Aiko built bonds that turned their ambition into steady, meaningful progress. Snow fell gently as Zolny told Kunon it was time to prepare for the Sorcerer's Academy. The 2 years of study had passed, and a new path awaited. Kunon resisted, listing unfinished projects. Zolny smiled, urging him to take the next step. Despite Kunon's passion for research, Zolny insisted he now needed broader experience beyond their lab. Kunon admitted he didn't want to leave, feeling fulfilled already, but Zolny reminded him his teachings had reached their limit. To grow further, Kunon had to step into the world. Zolny confirmed Kunon needed to study water sorcery at an academy. Kunon realized that no school nearby offered it. If he left, he wouldn't return until he graduated. Mirika stepped in, encouraging him despite her own sadness. She promised to wait and asked him to grow strong enough to return with pride, her feelings clearly more than friendship. They held hands in silent resolve. Marika vowed to become a woman worthy of him. Kunon, smiling gently, accepted the challenge to become a sorcerer neither would be ashamed of. Kunon firmly declared his decision to attend the Sorcerer's Academy. Zonli approved, but reminded him there was something even more important to address before his departure, something he'd been avoiding. Confused, Kunon speculated wildly, his marriage? Marika? A forgotten secret lesson? The seriousness in Zonli's tone made it clear this was no joke. Kunon couldn't imagine what he'd forgotten. Then it hit him, his eyes. The reason he began studying sorcery in the first place. He fell silent, realizing the truth. Zonli nodded. It was finally time. Kunon, now fully prepared, thanked Zonli for his guidance. With everything he'd learned, magic tools, theory, alchemy, he respectfully suspended their work. Zonli smiled proudly, confident his student was ready. As the preparations are in order, finally it's time to do that. He said that he understand and he will immediately call him when he need. Hearing that, he smiles and raises his hand. As the carriage rolled on, Marika struggled with mixed emotions. Though she encouraged Kunon to attend the academy, separation from him now left her feeling lonely and restless inside. Marika masked her sadness. She knew Kunon was closer to his dream of seeing, but deep down she feared that once he gained sight he might drift away from her. Marika worried more. Kunon was already admired, and Zonli's fame had grown due to their work. At the academy she feared Kunon would be surrounded and she might be forgotten. Overwhelmed by jealousy and guilt, Marika confessed her dark thoughts, wishing Kunon might not gain his sight. She felt ashamed, unworthy of being the fiancé of someone aiming so high. Dario and Zonli reacted sharply. Though Zonli scolded him, Dario assured her it was okay to feel conflicted. Emotions were natural, and Kunon would still find his own way forward. They questioned whether Kunon's sight could truly be restored. Zonli admitted uncertainty. Marika, half laughing, asked, had he been leading Kunon on all this time? The answer, as always, remained complicated. Zonli watched the snowy fields, certain Kunon had to find his own path now. No matter how others felt, only Kunon could determine what came next in his journey. At the mansion, Aiko arrived and shared the news. Kunon had accepted the Sorcerer's Academy offer. Dario was shocked his long-anticipated report had finally come true. Smiling, Aiko revealed the real surprise: Kunon was preparing to restore his vision. Dario froze, stunned. The moment they had all quietly waited for was finally approaching. Aiko explained that Kunon wanted time alone to focus on his goal. She felt bittersweet pride. He was growing quickly and hardly needed her like before. Dario acknowledged Kunon's progress. As they reminisced about their shared past, he teased Aiko about starting her own family. The conversation briefly turned toward matchmaking, much to Aiko's flustered surprise. 3 weeks passed. Kunon, buried in research, was exhausted. He had tried every method he could think of to restore his sight, logging over 100 failures without success. Burnt out from endless magical trial and error, Kunon abruptly suggested going to the sauna. His brother was surprised, but seeing Kunon's tired face, he agreed to help him relax. Together, they quietly planned a secret late-night sauna break, enlisting their father too. Knowing their mother might object, they carefully tiptoed around the house, enjoying their small, rebellious bonding moment. Weeks later, their mother discovered the sauna trip and confronted Kunon with a dramatic, "You sneak." Kunon froze, nervously admitting they had gone without her. Trouble was clearly brewing. Kunon's mother gently guilted him into inviting her to the sauna. Though hesitant, he couldn't refuse. She'd never even used it before, and her eyes began to well with tears. The family joined her in the sauna. Relaxed and cheerful, she praised the experience while teasing her husband. Kunon sat in silence, savoring a rare, peaceful moment with everyone together. Later, the quiet library stirred. Among the countless books and scattered papers, something shifted, something that caught attention. A new discovery was about to be made. Kunon discovered a breakthrough. A formula from a dusty book matched his theory. His heart raced. This structure, if correct, could allow him to truly see. Hope finally lit his eyes. After months alone, Kunon emerged from the annex. With quiet confidence, he declared success. He had designed a magical construct to reflect the world not just as light, but as vision. Kunon described his creation, a layered water mirror surrounded by a shielded sphere. It translated light into consciousness. At last he uttered the words he'd longed to say, "I can see." Kunon activated his spell. His surroundings came into view for the first time, but the visual input overwhelmed him. Though his brain screamed, his heart swelled. He had truly seen. Despite the pain, Kunon rejoiced. He'd done it. His mirror eye worked. Tears of success poured down as he collapsed. His vision real, even if brief, was a dream fulfilled. Over the next week, Kunon trained to control the mirror eye. With effort and tears, he adapted. Now, he could maintain sight at close range for short periods. His journey continued. Kunon, hesitant yet determined, used his mirror to see himself for the first time. Memories of helplessness and self-doubt surged. He wanted to know the face he had always feared. Staring into the mirror, he saw his features clearly. Not elegant, not striking, but real. He observed with curiosity, not judgment. His appearance didn't define his worth, only his perception had. With gentle vulnerability, Kunon turned to his floating companion and asked, "Do you think I'll come to love this face of mine?" A quiet hope lingered behind his question. Just after his self-reflection, Kunon turned and froze. Before him stood a massive crab-like being. Startled, he asked, "Who are you?" The surreal moment shattered his quiet triumph with confusion. Kunon stepped outside, his eyes open to the world for the first time. The sky was purple, the sun pitch black, and the wind gently moved the unfamiliar blue trees. Though amazed, Kunon sensed something was wrong. The colors didn't match his books or expectations. His first sight brought questions. Was this a flaw in his construct or the real world? Still lost in thought, Kunon heard footsteps. Aiko's cheerful greeting cut through his uncertainty. He turned toward her, unsure if the world looked strange, or if he just misunderstood it. Aiko stared at the floating orb. Kunon confirmed what she hoped he could now see her. Tears filled her eyes as she ran into his arms, overwhelmed with happiness. Kunon thanked Aiko for always believing in him. Her joy was sincere, but she remembered a message from the palace. She hesitated, then asked Kunon if she could speak freely. Kunon asked about the strange horn on Aiko's head. Aiko explained it appears when she's angry. Kunon smiled, relieved he hadn't offended her. Both laughed gently as tension faded. Aiko teased Kunon, asking him to say "I love you." Laughing it off, Kunon reflected on how his vision shaped reality differently, how his eye made the world feel off somehow. As Kunon returned home, his mother ran to embrace him, crying with joy. She apologized for his struggles and held him tightly. Kunon stood quietly, unsure how to react. Looking at his mother again, Kunon thought she appeared even cooler than expected. He realized his eye could see through false impressions. Noting Aiko's horn wasn't real, he smiled quietly. Kunon spoke with his older brother, amused by the black wings on his back. Aiko explained that everyone was born with wings, symbols of freedom, but most lost sight of them. Suddenly, Kunon's father appeared, praising his efforts with warmth. But Kunon noticed something odd. His father's form was strangely blurry, hard to perceive. A new problem had quietly revealed itself. Kunon considered seeking his master's help again. Just as he reflected, a carriage approached. Princess Mirika stepped down, calling for Kunon. Her timing was perfect, yet trouble might follow. Mirika rushed to Kunon, full of joy. His wings now visible, he welcomed her warmly. As they reunited, someone approached, an unfamiliar presence that Kunon instantly sensed was oddly powerful. The newcomer was radiant, almost blinding. Kunon, overwhelmed, tried to follow the conversation. Mirika introduced the man, Zio. Kunon felt uneasy, noticing how the man's presence disturbed even the magical balance. Suspicion grew within Kunon. As Zio walked away with the master for a private talk, Kunon stared out the window. Something wasn't right, and it was only just beginning. Zio laughed, amused by Kunon's confusion over what he saw. Kunon, still serious, struggled to understand the strange visions, sensing there might be more than just a trick of light. Kunon explained what he'd seen. Zio proposed two possibilities: spirit vision or soul manifestation. Both were rare, hinting Kunon might have awakened something beyond normal sorcery, something even Zio couldn't define. Zio recalled his own experience with mana sickness visions, disorientation, and magical overload. Kunon listened closely, realizing his power might carry risks. Understanding would take time, but the signs were unmistakable. Zio and Kunon talked calmly. Kunon wondered about his vision, uncertain of the truth. Zio suggested not to worry now, answers might come later. Once Kunon reached the Sorcerer's Academy, Kunon listened as the Black Cat offered a simple truth. No two people saw the same world. That difference wasn't a flaw, it was just part of being alive. Zio entrusted Kunon with the prototype. Even if it was confusing, Kunon chose to keep it, believing one day it would become something useful, maybe even something meaningful to him. Kunon agreed to keep his ability hidden. Zio only planned to research it quietly. Meanwhile, Kunon grappled with how the world looked through his new vision, still unsure what it all meant. At his birthday celebration, Kunon received a heartfelt gift. Mirika wanted them to match, to understand one another. Kunon accepted it, still uncertain but determined to grasp its deeper meaning. As Kunon departed, he was surrounded by warm farewells. He stepped into the carriage calmly, hiding the nervous anticipation. Those watching wondered, did he truly understand the journey ahead of him? Kunon bid farewell with confident words, assuring everyone he'd return in a few years. Aiko joined him. Their family smiled, trusting his path, though some couldn't help but feel nervous pride. The towering Sorcerer's Academy loomed ahead. Onlookers whispered about Zonli's pupil among the new arrivals. Expectations quietly rose. Within the castle, anticipation stirred. An unfamiliar presence, cloaked in mystery, had also arrived. A girl in holy robes prepared to depart. She stood solemnly, her presence drawing hushed awe. Kunon's arrival intersected with hers. As she stepped forward, a question surfaced. Who was she? Kunon approached Arasik, city of magic, ruled by the immortal witch Grey Luiva. Reading the tour guide, he marveled at its independence and allure. The academy felt closer than ever. The guidebook's tales revealed Luiva's terrifying might, controlling demons, angels, and ancient magic alike. Kunon listened, intrigued yet skeptical. Rumors abounded, but facts remained cloaked in myth. Aiko watched him closely. A lively exchange broke out. Kunon's peers teased him for being too angelic, arguing purity didn't suit a sorcerer. Laughter followed. For once, Kunon didn't mind standing out among friends. The carriage arrived at Marquis Gurion's mansion. Kunon, nostalgic yet cheerful, recalled his clumsy childhood dance. Aiko teased him. They shared laughter, easing the weight of the journey's importance. Kunon remembered how his strange behavior once worried his father and muted others. Now, everyone greeted him with pride. Rumors of his genius had already reached the estate's staff. Marquis Gurion's steward, Ederu Berond, rushed to embrace Kunon. Warmly touched by the reunion, Kunon smiled wide. In that moment, past and present finally aligned in his heart. Kunon arrived joyfully at the estate, welcomed by familiar faces. A maid urgently handed a letter to the Marquis. Inside, a clear request: limit spending on Kunon to avoid excess. The Marquis chuckled, amused by the plea. Kunon calmly asked for a new attendant to replace Aiko. His intention was practical, yet it left everyone uncertain about her future role. A potential replacement stood awkwardly nearby. Aiko, however, interrupted with a quiet confession she couldn't follow Kunon anymore. Then, unexpectedly, she declared her desire to marry, shocking the room into silence. Kunon misunderstood the proposal and firmly declined. The maid warned him to choose wisely if he truly intended to marry. He clarified he had no such plans, not even in another life. A new candidate appeared, Rinko Rauno, aged 18. She introduced herself with determination, explaining her motivation was a stable salary. Her directness surprised everyone, especially when she cited a former fiancé. Rinko boldly stated she wouldn't risk execution again. She promised to treasure her role and Kunon's status. Meanwhile, another girl silently observed, noting how much Kunon valued his fiancé's reputation already. Rinko met Kunon's overprotective sister, who immediately warned her not to teach bad habits. The sister, flustered, demanded Kunon remain pure and untouched. Only Princess Mirika had earned that closeness. Rinko tried to reassure her, but the sister panicked further, imagining scandalous rumors. Her emotional outburst climaxed with a bold declaration: Mirika is the only one allowed near Kunon's heart. Rinko reflected on Kunon's composed nature. Despite being surrounded by women, he was a true gentleman. However, her innocent compliment was misinterpreted as sarcasm, sparking yet another misunderstanding between them. Still emotional, Rinko defended Kunon fiercely, insisting he wasn't a womanizer. But her outburst left her embarrassed. She vowed to repair his image, realizing the others respected him far more deeply. The room fell quiet as Aiko approached Kunon. She called his name gently, her voice steady. Kunon turned and thanked her sincerely, acknowledging everything she'd done while they lived together. Aiko smiled warmly, reminding Kunon he would only have to wait a little longer. They hugged silently, an unspoken farewell as time edged closer to departure, marking the end of their chapter. With a final hug, Kunon said goodbye. The carriage waited as Lord Gurion offered kindness, but Kunon politely declined, focused instead on moving forward, eyes set on his goal. Aiko gave encouragement, cheerful as ever, promising to work hard. Kunon appreciated her sincerity. Their paths split, but both felt hopeful. Rinko also joined, preparing for the journey ahead. They discussed dreams of marriage, a shop, and independence. Laughter broke tension. Though young, Rinko's determination was serious. Kunon admired their resolve, ready to see what lay ahead at the academy. Kunon arrived in Lamira, capital of the Holy Country. A lively girl greeted him with excitement over magical trinkets. The bustling streets hinted at a new chapter of learning. They walked through the city as she explained recent magical developments. Kunon listened quietly, absorbing details. Though invited to join in experiments, he declined, more interested in learning through observation. They stopped by shops filled with magic books and tools. Kunon saved money, prioritizing essentials. Rinko enjoyed the sights but stayed focused. Tomorrow, their carriage would leave for the academy. Kunon and Rinko entered the shop, touching items to replicate them. The merchant grew uneasy, unsure whether to intervene as the kids scanned merchandise without hesitation, surprising even the store staff. Rinko memorized product patterns. A curious bystander questioned their behavior. Kunon explained his replication method using magic. Demonstrating with a stuffed animal, he impressed and baffled the merchant and onlookers alike. The merchant, still skeptical, asked if Kunon could replicate women. Before Kunon could answer, Rinko angrily interrupted, embarrassed by the suggestion, making it clear they weren't ordinary children wasting time. Rinko scolded the man for insulting Kunon. Her words cut deeply. The man, humiliated, backed down. Kunon quietly watched as Rinko shielded him again, unwavering in her defense and loyalty. A cloaked woman arrived seeking rare magical scarves. Her refined presence and specific request startled the clerk. Kunon noticed her demeanor, suspecting her to be from a high-ranking religious order. Presented with a mysterious white fox scarf, the woman questioned its nature. The clerk explained its uncertain origin. Unexpectedly, water sprayed from the scarf, soaking him, revealing its elemental enchantment. The mysterious woman confirmed the scarf's water-based sorcery. Others examined it, noting minimal magic use. The shop owner, soaked and humiliated, denied interest while quietly shaken by the near-miss incident. Kunon finally arrived at the Sorcerer's Academy, but dorms were full. Despite his attempts to negotiate, the staff refused. Faced with limited options, he considered finding lodging elsewhere for now. As they walked outside, Kunon weighed his choices. Renting a house seemed practical for his long-term study. Rinko offered her support, determined to help him build a stable daily life. Rinko, showcasing her cooking and cleaning skills, spoke proudly of their future goals. Kunon appreciated her help. Their partnership felt solid, not romantic, but formed around trust and shared intention. Kunon received a map and guidance from the academy to find alternate housing. With dormitories full, a list of trusted real estate partners offered a solution tailored for incoming students like him. Rinko reviewed the housing situation and listened carefully. Kunon learned that competition for dorms was fierce, and bribes were common. Their modest offer seemed generous in comparison to the usual standards. They arrived at a quaint cottage just off campus. Though intended for couples, Kunon and Rinko agreed it was perfect. With relief and excitement, they prepared to begin life there. A month passed as Kunon settled into his new life. Surrounded by support, he trained and studied diligently. The day of the entrance exams finally arrived, marking the beginning of his challenge. At the academy gate, Kunon was determined to proceed alone. Rinko worried, but Kunon's confidence held firm. Inside, murmurs about his mysterious presence and relationships hinted at growing curiosity among others. Kunon met a girl named Lubella, who expressed interest in his background. Her name, formed from beauty and harmony, impressed him. Together, they walked toward the site where fate awaited. Kunon stepped onto the academy grounds, awed by the magical energy he felt. The vast architecture surrounded him. With calm confidence, he prepared to face the academy's challenging entrance exam. Lubella explained the exam's components, written theory and personal interview. Kunon listened carefully, noting the focus on personal traits over raw magic power. He realized the academy valued responsibility as much as strength. As Lubella warned him about maturity and judgment, Kunon remained composed. Despite her teasing, he stood his ground. He knew this academy tested more than knowledge, it tested who you truly were. Lubella offered advice on love, suggesting compromise. Kunon responded earnestly, unintentionally charming her with his pure logic. Though sincere, his words left her flustered. His innocence made others question his intent. Kunon's thoughts still puzzled Lubella, but she recognized his sincerity. As he waited in the academy courtyard, he prepared himself mentally. Something important was coming. He could sense the change in atmosphere. 3 students appeared, each carrying distinct traits: a staff, a patch, a serious gaze. Kunon observed them silently. These were his competition. He stood ready, curious, and determined to face what's next. Kunon analyzed what his mirror eye revealed. Sorcerers emitted different visual signals. He classified them into categories based on how magic affected their bodies. The patterns intrigued him but remained mysterious. Kunon observed the girl's radiant presence and guessed she might be the saint of the holy country. Her magical aura confirmed it. Intrigued, he questioned her, hoping to learn more. Excited, Kunon bombarded her with questions about light magic and healing. The girl remained cautious, but his genuine curiosity softened her. Others joined in, eager to understand the magic she carried. Kunon tried to clarify his intent, eager to learn about magic, not flirt. The girl remained skeptical, asserting light magic's superiority. Still, Kunon insisted water magic held equal worth. Their debate intensified. Kunon argued magic's strength wasn't in its type but the user's skill. She misunderstood again, thinking it romantic. He denied it, focusing only on learning and understanding. Miscommunication continued. She lectured on social etiquette and dates. Kunon stayed confused but respectful. A teacher interrupted the tension, reminding them to focus. She admitted Kunon never actually flirted after all. The instructor gathered everyone, preparing to start the exam. He introduced himself, explaining the rare opportunity for powerful individuals to bypass normal procedures if their magic stood out significantly. Kunon listened carefully as the teacher clarified the school's policy. Most students were already admitted, but Kunon's group faced a unique trial. He asked the true purpose of the exam. The teacher described the academy structure, separating advanced and basic tracks. Kunon learned students could self-direct their pace. He quietly admired the system, thinking it suited his goals perfectly. With expectations set, the instructor officially opened the entrance exam. He noted the prestige of the advanced class, promising guaranteed graduation to those who passed. Kunon prepared himself with calm resolve. Hank Beat calmly stated his intent to join the special class. He confidently listed his qualifications and spells. The examiners acknowledged his resolve and prepared to assess his practical skill. Given approval to demonstrate, Hank wasted no time. With confidence, he unleashed Fire Dash, igniting the field with blazing force. Observers watched closely, noting his precision and remarkable magical control. Kunon, observing silently, recognized the spell from a book. The execution impressed him. He watched Hank's movements, studying details, already considering how to surpass it with his own unique approach. Kunon analyzed the spell's structure, appreciating its simplicity and practical application. He noted how the execution prioritized control over raw force, recognizing the value of finesse in real combat scenarios. As the spell concluded, the examiner praised its precision. Kunon remained composed, internally comparing techniques. Another candidate, Rhea Horse, stepped forward confidently, ready to showcase his wind-based 2-star magic ability. Rhea declared his intent and class preference. His wind spell surged dramatically, drawing admiration. Kunon watched, noting his potential. The instructor, intrigued, requested Rhea's best spell to assess his true level. Rhea activated Windfang King, unleashing a massive spiraling gust. The spectators were impressed by the sheer force. Kunon observed closely, noting the spell's scale and its finely honed execution technique. The examiner praised Rhea's control, highlighting its intermediate class level. Kunon analyzed the spell structure, noting how it gathered and compressed air. He pondered its efficiency and how it differed from beginner magic. Rhea Sentrin stepped forward next. Calmly, she introduced her light attribute with a rare 3-star crest. Her goal, the special class. Kunon, intrigued, noted both her rarity and potential strength carefully. Reyes calmly declared her status as a saint, revealing she bore the scar of the hero. She explained her condition and apologized if her words seemed offensive. Kunon grew intensely curious. Kunon was amazed to encounter someone who had both the light attribute and the hero's scar. Reyes prepared to cast her magic, raising her hand with quiet determination and focus. With a swift chant, Reyes released Holy Ray. Kunon was stunned by its speed and power. She explained it was her only offensive spell, as healing was her primary specialty. Kunon calmly confirmed his identity. The instructor mentioned a special request from his master, Zionli. Despite being uninformed, Kunon agreed. The others were stunned by Zionli's involvement and his reputation. Kunon listened as the examiner clarified. Zionli asked for the exam to be made harder. Observers reacted in awe. Kunon accepted without protest, showing confidence in his master's judgment. Zionli's past student, now an instructor, confirmed the intent behind the challenge. Kunon remained composed. The examiner asked for agreement. Kunon nodded, ready to take on whatever came next. Kunon confirmed his name as the examiner reviewed the list. A sudden mention of special treatment surprised him. Apparently, someone had made a specific request regarding his upcoming evaluation. Kunon learned that Zionli, his master, had asked for a harder test. The others were shocked. Whispers of Zionli's fame spread. Kunon listened silently, unaffected by the rising tension. Memories of Zonli's bold words echoed his disciple would pass anything. Kunon accepted the situation. The staff confirmed it, and Kunon simply agreed. The trial would be tough, but he was ready. Some instructors plotted to humiliate Kunon, questioning Zonli's trust. Calmly, Kunon introduced himself. He declared his 2 spells and applied to the special class, unaffected by their whispered doubts. Kunon confidently listed Water Ball and Cleanse Bubble as his only spells. The staff reacted in disbelief, but Kunon insisted, and Zonli's recommendation echoed. He believed 2 spells were enough. Observers mocked Zonli's pride in Kunon, calling it arrogance. Still, the lead examiner withheld judgment. He signaled for the evaluation to begin. Everyone would soon see the truth firsthand. Kunon faced her doubt with quiet calm. The girl challenged his resolve, unsure, skeptical. He sighed, then stepped forward, determined. This is no bluff, he thought. I'll show them. Kunon entered the field, surrounded by bubbles. Each one shimmered with mana, but none threatening. He focused, lips forming spells. She watched closely, judging his will and precision. Kunon invoked Amplify with growing intensity. Bubble count surged, pressure building. The girl observed, intrigued. He repeated the chant. Unwavering magic surged around him, barrier shaken. It had just begun. Kunon whispered, transform, reshaping the field. The sphere spun violently, wind and magic converging. Grass cracked below. Eyes focused, he stood still, knowing this would decide everything from now. The red swirl thickened, surging around him. Even the onlookers paused, startled by the change. Kunon stayed calm. It turned red? He noted. Power gathered, pressure mounting in silence. The swirl tightened, reaching his feet. Kunon didn't flinch. Students watched in disbelief. He turned calmly, declaring his spell's strength. 2 days non-stop. Can you even last hours? He asked. As fog surged, the teacher relaxed confidently. No time limit, she smiled. Kunon stood firm, unshaken. He'd already surpassed expectations. Endurance magic against overwhelming odds. The task was his now. Kunon raised his hands, smiling. I admit defeat, the examiner laughed. Praise filled the air. A classmate pouted. He's flirting. Kunon chuckled. Just wait, I'll show more, he promised confidently. Kunon completed the practical exam with ease. As the written test loomed, tension brewed. Amid playful teasing and flustered reactions, Miss Saifi warned them all, focus now, no distractions allowed. Kunon acknowledged the warning, suppressing a smile. As they walked away, teachers observed him closely, questioning his motives. His cleverness sparked concern. Brilliance, after all, often bordered on unpredictability. Inside the exam hall, students worked under pressure. Kunon finished early, calm and composed. Interviews began next. Though some doubted him, his performance left them wondering, how does he always succeed? Kunon, curious and bold, questioned the interview's purpose. His mind wandered to awkward scenarios. The teacher, amused, dodged specifics. Still, Kunon's enthusiasm never waned. His mind always raced ahead. Once inside, Kunon politely asked about mind magic. His thoughts shifted, marveling at the unseen. Intrigued by unknown elements, he eagerly shared observations, his voice filled with wonder and drive. Despite his blindness, Kunon saw deeply. His passion ignited curiosity. When summoned next, he followed without hesitation. The exam wasn't over, but Kunon's journey had already stirred many hearts. After the interviews, Kunon found himself alone with a teacher. Their talk shifted to strategy. The teacher, curious, asked about Kunon's red fog trick, its purpose, detail, and intent. Kunon explained calmly. The red fog marked contact points. If plans failed, he'd prepared alternatives: erosion, fusion, even magic theft. His thinking had layers, each reinforcing the last with precision. With confidence, Kunon revealed his method. Water, subtle and penetrating, could slip past defenses. He planned to override enemy magic from within. His quiet brilliance, challenging even the examiner's expectations. Kunon praised water magic but admitted he hadn't yet surpassed his master. With resolve, he vowed to study harder and rise higher, his dream clear, his goal unshaken. Watching him go, the teacher smiled. Kunon's mentor had entrusted his pride to this academy. Though young, Kunon's potential was unmatched. He'd someday outshine them all, if tested hard enough. Led to a mysterious room, Kunon asked calmly, "What's beyond the door?" Professor Saifi, intrigued by his unshaken curiosity, offered no answer, only silence and a step into the unknown. Kunon sensed the wind, questioning the outdoor feel. Professor Saifi explained vaguely this new test area was called Night. Simulated or real, it felt like stepping into another world entirely. Curious, Kunon asked about the space's nature. Was it conjured night or captured real night sealed into a room? With wonder in his voice, he walked into the unknown. The door shut. Darkness fell. Kunon couldn't see, truly blind again. No magic helped. He felt breeze, grass beneath his feet. Alone in pure night, he smiled, ready for the challenge. Surrounded by starlight, Kunon sensed a new presence. A teacher appeared, calling him the troublemaker. Kunon introduced himself calmly, unaware he was being closely assessed by keen, silent eyes. He stepped forward but kept his distance. With serious tone and humor, Kunon declared he had a fiancée. Flirting wouldn't do. Despite his charm, he stayed focused on the exam. Misunderstood again, Kunon tried to explain. He admired her skills, not her age. Earnestly, he called her greater than his master. His words, though awkward, sparked curious interest in her. Kunon was questioned about risk, but remained composed. He spoke respectfully. When asked what he learned, his excitement grew. He'd seen advanced directional magic, unlike anything he'd known before. Eagerly, Kunon explained his idea. Control flow like a magic circle. Launch a soft water attack that spins. Versatile, fast, and adaptive, he was ready to refine it further. He impressed the examiner deeply. Declared ready, Kunon was offered a place in the special class. Confident and energized, he agreed, ready to prove himself and start a new chapter. Kunon cheered, rushing from the arena. Luiva, the examiner, quietly declared him her student. Her eyes sparkled not from sentiment, but from seeing a rare prodigy worth passing magic to. Though the others missed it, Luiva noticed a faint ripple of magic. Kunon had done something subtle, clever. She didn't understand it yet, but she would. Magic always held mysteries. As the door closed behind him, Luiva chuckled. The exam was over, but her curiosity had only begun. Somewhere beyond the wall, Kunon's journey was already calling new voices. Back home, Kunon lounged in the sun with a letter in hand. The maid was excited he'd been accepted. Magic school was no longer a dream. The real journey began. He teased her playfully about dates and rules, laughing over the sealed documents. Magic school had strict terms, but Kunon embraced it, amused by how even paperwork felt magical. The maid, curious, asked about his pay. Kunon avoided the topic, but she pressed harder. His wealth raised questions. For once, she insisted, this time, his business was her business. Reading the fine print, Kunon smiled awkwardly. Special class rules forbid help from family. He'd need to earn his way alone. It wasn't pressure, it was proof he truly belonged. Kunon left cheerfully for another day. A month had passed since his arrival, and he'd already gained popularity. His charm, magic, and confidence made him well liked by neighbors and staff. In an alley, Kunon encountered a silent figure. Though the man resembled an ogre, he gave no response. Curious, Kunon noted the mystery. Was he magical, human, or something else? Reaching the academy gates, Kunon was greeted warmly. A familiar voice caught his attention. It was Rubera. Surprised but pleased, he prepared himself for a new day of discovery and study. Rubera guided Kunon through the academy. He wondered if the special treatment meant something more. She stayed polite, but Kunon couldn't help teasing his humor as unshakable as ever. Rubera brushed off his flirting. Kunon remained unconvinced, drawing stares from others. Despite playful words, he noticed an odd tension in the hall, students whispering, observing, and reacting with unease. The morning buzzed with chatter. Kunon joined others discussing school policies. To his surprise, even basic rules like earning one's keep were undisclosed before exams. Clearly, the special class came with secrets. A girl bluntly stated her cost of living 1.5 million NECA. Kunon was shocked. That sum forced many into desperate jobs. Her tone was harsh, but her burden real. Kunon joked, calling himself a gentleman, though he wisely backed off. Hawk, playful as ever, joined the banter. Their situations differed, but all faced one challenge: survival through independence. Just as conversation lightened, Professor Seifi entered. Before she could begin, the girl raised her voice. "I can't accept this," she declared. Her frustration signaled deeper conflict ahead. Frustrated, the girl declared she had no time to earn money, she came to study. Kunon listened silently as the teacher promised to explain why income was part of training. The instructor clarified, magicians must be self-sufficient. Advanced studies require materials, potions, catalysts, none cheap. Even Kunon acknowledged the cost. Magic wasn't just talent, it demanded discipline, resourcefulness, and budgeting. But without support, some gifted magicians turned desperate, stealing, deceiving, even killing for funds. The system, built on independence, could be harsh. Scams and manipulation were common dangers for the naive. The rule existed to protect students from scams. Reyes, though confident in her future path, was urged to consider deeper growth. True strength came not just from talent but experience. The teacher advised exploring the unknown. Learn what magic can do. Try new roles. One memory stood out: his own mentor had taught him magical crafting, changing his entire path. Kunon listened, but Reyes stayed firm. Her costs were high, 1.5 million NECA a month. Shocked teachers asked why. Her answer was blunt: food expenses. The room froze in disbelief. Reyes explained her burdens: tuition, rent, and food. The instructor acknowledged the cost, suggesting a solution: transfer to the guided class. But once there, returning to the special class was impossible. The special class offered freedom, guided class offered structure. The choice was Reyes's. Teachers encouraged her to reflect before deciding. Her future would depend entirely on her motivation and resolve. A young student stepped in. He'd requested guided class, yet got assigned to special. Kunon smiled. Sometimes, misplacement happened, but faith in their potential shaped where they were placed. The boy was assured his placement in the special class wasn't a mistake. He could stay and try it. With enough credits, anyone could succeed. But slacking off had consequences. The special class offered freedom, no fixed lessons, access to facilities, and time to research. But they had to earn credits independently. Failure meant losing privileges and moving to another class. Kunon asked about doing business. The teacher approved, warning him to follow rules. Ever earnest, Kunon replied. He'd offer sleep services to comfort lonely hearts with words, of course. Kunon explained his sleep service idea seriously, providing rest for overworked magicians. Though absurd on the surface, his intentions were kind. Some teachers found it amusing, others were baffled by it. He proposed testing it, even suggesting a volunteer. The room spiraled into chaos. Students and staff struggled to process his sincerity. Kunon remained confident, determined to explore its business potential. Though laughter echoed, Seifai praised Kunon as promising. His boldness, though misplaced, was rare. Orientation ended, and with it, Kunon's first step into academy life was truly complete. Kunon faced questions about his sleep business, but he stood firm. He simply helped people rest. To everyone's surprise, the idea caught on. His service spread quickly across the academy. Students praised it. A short nap brought clarity. Word spread that Kunon was the disciple of a great wizard. Requests flooded in, and the business soared beyond expectations. Teachers were shocked. Kunon explained it used water magic, and hinted at deeper mechanisms. But his secret weapon was unexpected: a hairless giant rat. The Academy's favorite sleeping companion. Kunon introduced the Academy's latest sensation: his giant hairless rat. Soft, warm, perfect for sleep. Even teachers were amazed by how fast students nodded off while hugging the odd creature. Kunon assured staff that everything was under control. He wanted to read books next. Meanwhile, whispers spread about Professor Satori. Kunon remained focused, curious about the knowledge waiting for him. 2 weeks in, Reyes hadn't solved her money issues. Watching Kunon's success, she felt defeated. This must be humiliation, she thought. Alone with her worries, she questioned her own worth. Kunon skillfully marketed his sleep business, building excitement. Confident and persuasive, he guided another client through the process, paperwork and all. His odd yet effective charm continued drawing curious attention. Reyes met Kunon with her group. Though she judged him harshly, she now sought his help. Kunon declared his philosophy: a gentleman never exploited weakness, even if the opportunity was tempting. Reyes opened up. She acknowledged Kunon's understanding and hoped he'd offer sincere advice. Together, they visited his improvised lab, once an unused room, now transformed into a place of progress. Kunon's guests learned about each other. They weren't just students, they were specialists. Yet, even among talents, Kunon stood out, unusual in both skill and attitude. Everyone recognized his growing influence. Reyes explained her struggle. Her divine magic couldn't be monetized. Kunon asked bluntly, was it religious? She gave no clear answer. When teased about marriage, Professor Seifi's unexpected response surprised all. With laughter fading, Kunon pointed out something useful: documents with real value. Magicians could earn by contributing to research. Reyes finally saw a new path, paved by intellect, not inheritance. Kunon reflected on earning through value. High-tier magic research could be profitable. Reyes admitted 1.5 million NECA monthly wasn't a typical goal, it was her necessity. A job wouldn't suffice. They discussed magic types. Kunon suggested business over employment. Reyes revealed her specialty: purification and healing. With confirmation that purification had no restrictions, Kunon saw a possible path for her. Inspired, Kunon invited Reyes to craft magical tools together. Her healing magic, combined with his, could work. Seifai, overhearing, urged caution: success meant risk, but the opportunity could be massive. Professor Seifi cautioned them. Crafting magical tools wasn't simple. Kunon acknowledged Reyes as the key talent, he only contributed basics. Still, he believed their combined efforts could create real value. Kunon reassured Reyes he'd support her from behind the scenes. With her leading, the idea might succeed. When asked if it could earn enough, he admitted, "That depends on us." Reyes finally accepted. Though it wouldn't solve everything instantly, the idea had promise. With everyone's support and advice, she felt hopeful. 2 weeks in, her new path had begun. Reyes accepted Kunon's plan, though hesitant. Kunon beamed with excitement. Light magic experiments awaited. With support building around them, even uncertain steps began to feel like the start of something real. Reyes reflected on Kunon's approach. Despite his antics, he never mocked her. Instead, he spoke as a peer. Together, they now studied rare plants and sacred tools for purification. They discussed the sacred Shidora plant, found only in holy places. Kunon suggested cultivating it. With Reyes' purification magic and Kunon's research, they now aimed to grow something truly valuable. Kunon admitted the success of the plan depended entirely on Reyes. If she cultivated 5 Shidora plants a month, earning 1.5 million NECA might actually be achievable. Reyes, recalling her experience with sanctified lands, realized she could recreate that sacred environment. Kunon immediately offered to set up a test space and observe the experiment's process firsthand. Though hesitant, Reyes agreed. Kunon insisted it would count for school credits and prove valuable research. For him, this wasn't just a business, it was a proper magical achievement. Kunon proposed a joint research project. Reyes agreed, flustered but committed. Though unsure about the lunch part, she saw value in his drive and potential in what they might create. As plans moved forward, Kunon took charge of logistics. Reyes would apply for a lab space. Professor Saifi offered her support, with others pitching in to get things moving. With the team assembled, Reyes stepped forward. Calm, focused, and glowing with magic, she prepared to take the first step, starting the real work on the Shidora project. Reyes successfully activated her magic. The results were impressive, stunning even the instructors. Everyone quickly began taking notes, recognizing the uniqueness of her power. Kunon was inspired beyond words. Ideas poured into Kunon's mind. He frantically scribbled plans and magical theories. He even begged Reyes for more information, offering desserts in exchange. His curiosity had fully taken over. Reyes, now more amused than annoyed, saw Kunon's true passion. Being a magician meant obsession. As they walked, she teased him 3 parfaits was asking a lot. He just grinned. The next day, the sacred Shidora seeds sprouted. Reyes watched quietly as they began to thrive within the barrier. Hope replaced doubt. Her journey was finally taking root. Kunon obsessively recorded every detail about the sacred herbs. Reyes questioned the repetition, but he insisted it might grow faster than normal. The barrier's effect was still a mystery worth tracking. Kunon compared it to drawings from books. This real version felt different. Reyes wondered how his sight worked. The question, awkward yet sincere, shifted the group's focus toward Kunon himself. Kunon admitted others' curiosity didn't bother him. When asked if he could see colors through magic, he offered to reveal the secret only if everyone was willing to hear it. Kunon explained his vision's limits. He couldn't see far but developed it by will. His magic wasn't gifted, it was earned through desire, experimentation, and the transformation of magic itself. He reflected on how magic reshaped him. No one else had eyes like his. When asked about the scars, Kunon revealed they came from a name hero, a title misunderstood. Reyes sympathized, admitting her own emotional difficulties. Kunon envied her peaceful life. But before the talk deepened, Kunon grew confused. Why were Rhea and Hank suddenly standing behind him? Hank and Rhea admitted they felt lost. Reyes stood up, insisting they had helped her, and now it was her turn to support them. Kunon encouraged them all playfully. Kunon explained magical experiments fall into 3 types. Reyes' work with purification was advanced. Curious about their interests, Kunon invited Hank to explore magic with him, or at least consider it. Hank was unsure. Kunon responded with a grin. Start small. Make me bacon, he requested. Everyone was stunned. But to Kunon, it was genuine motivation. Nothing wrong with starting through hunger. Kunon challenged Rhea to fly using magic. Hank revived an old experiment. Lunch plans formed, with Professor Safi reluctantly roped in. Reyes, calmer now, agreed to share the moment. They walked as a group. Safi found a place for them to gather. She reflected, Kunon had exceeded expectations. Her concerns faded. He'd become the heart of the special class. Elsewhere, a new group stirred. Girls awoke from enchanted rest, eyes opening with purpose. Change was coming. And somewhere unseen, someone whispered it was time for the factions to move. 3 girls from different academy factions gathered in Kunon's rest area. Tension rose. Normally rivals, today they shared the same goal and the same tranquil space. Even peace had strategy. Though uneasy, they acknowledged the rest zone's impact. One visit eased tension and cleared thoughts. This place, Kunon's creation, was more than comfort. It was a magnet for influence. Each girl came to learn about Kunon, hoping to connect. But they weren't alone. Every faction had sent someone. For them, the true challenge was just beginning.